it used to get to me. I ain't gonna lie. When I see comments and people just don't get it and they're trying to argue with me about what my viewpoint is. Then I got to the point, I'm like, why does it matter what Tom 1987
They always got like
underscore
a whole bunch of
654
numbers behind their name,
Why
man.
I don't even know this guy.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as black men and as a black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
All right, man. We here with Odie. Man, this is about to be a classic. I can already feel it. I can already feel it, man. First of all, before we get into the episode, any of y'all that are listening, please like, share, subscribe, comment, whatever the heck you have to do to support the pod. There's a lot of y'all that have been leaving reviews. We appreciate that. Please continue to do that. That helps us to reach more people. And then also outside of that, this episode is a special episode. It should be dropping around Father's Day if everything goes as planned, but we'll see. So it should be dropping around Father's Day. And what we're doing around Father's Day, I think is going to be the day before Father's Day, is we're going to be doing a Father's Day webinar where we're going to be talking about how to heal father wounds, right? That's something that we deal with a lot. It's important to me that we talk about these things, that we offer solutions. And so that's what we're doing. It's a free webinar. All you got to do is click the link in our bio, our IG bio, to sign up. Or you can go to expressyourselfblackman.com/links and it'll be in there. It'll be a free webinar, a link that you can just sign up. It takes 2 seconds. You can sign up for a black man or you can join for a black man, take notes, however you want to do it. So without further ado, we here with Odie, my brother.
Good people,
Listen,
people,
man.
guys, people.
Tell the people who you are, what you do, before we get into the episode, because this is definitely about to be a good one, bro.
Yes, sir. So, good people, great people, guys, people. My name is Odilakachi William Hezekiah Onkwe. My moniker on social media is Professor Odie. I am an Afrocentric mental health and wellness coach. I am also a pre-licensed therapist in the state of Pennsylvania. I am also a influencer, quote unquote. And, I lead thoughts here and there. So that's what I do.
Listen, man, you don't lead thoughts here and there. You are a thought leader, bro, for a fact, right? You are such a thought leader that I have you inside of Safe Haven, right? And you facilitate the group sessions that we have with the black men.
Most definitely.
You do that 2 times out of the month. You're also working with Safe Haven members,
Yes.
individually. So I appreciate you and everything that you do, bro.
1,000%. I
Of
appreciate
course.
the platform, IG, is definitely necessary.
Of course, bro. Of course, man. So I don't want to keep the people waiting too much, man. Can you tell the people what is a father wound, right? Let's break that down first before we even get into it, because we talk about it a lot, but there's some people that don't have a definition as to what it is, right? And I don't want to go with the assumption that it's self-explanatory. So what is it?
So a father wound is not necessarily self-explanatory, but it sounds self-explanatory.
Okay.
So a father wound is specifically a set of needs that were not met from the parental that is the father or was the more, I guess you could say, more masculinely energized of the two parents.
Okay.
That father wound usually comes from a space of either feelings of abandonment, feelings of not being supported, feelings of being actively persecuted, harmed, or bullied by this masculine figure. And what that usually does for a number of people is that it creates spaces or feelings that the world is hostile. There's a lot of destabilization. There is not a lot of self-structure. Self-examination usually is painful, or it feels as if though it's something that is difficult to do. Vulnerability is not something that's easily accessed, because if you get too deep into vulnerability, it feels as if though somebody's going to harm you, or it feels as if though you're not going to have the support that you need in order to regulate that vulnerability. So ultimately, a father wound is usually a destabilization that comes from the space of the father, and it creates difficulties later on in relationships and in life.
Oh my God. Listen, man. the definition in itself. We could have just stopped the podcast right there. You feel me? We good to go. That was a whole post. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a carousel slide post.
Yeah,
10
man.
signs to identify if you have a father wound. You went right into it. Nah, facts, bro. Nah, I love that, bro. I love that, man. So, listen, can you tell, because you talked about it, you gave a little hint of it, right? Like, how does it show up in black men, and specifically in relationships?
So once again, going back to that idea of, the lack of structure or the unwillingness to yield to not necessarily even criticism, but just examination from people who are other than themselves, which then, in terms of thought train stimulation, it would be, once again, you would have the self-examination would usually come after somebody has examined you, right? So the self-examination usually is, once again, it's difficult to facilitate. The reason being is because you feel as if though it's a harsh criticism instead of a loving curiosity, if that makes any sense. So looking at it from that perspective, it's like, yo, everybody's out to get me. This does not feel like, somebody's really being upfront, straightforward with me, like, you're not going to support me, X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C. So it's very much so looking at it from the perspective of your foundation or your structure not being solid enough for you to place your own self-concept on it.
Right. Let me ask you this, right? What role does the way we identify with masculinity in our society play into father wounds? Or do you feel like it has a role?
Oh, 1,000%. So as y'all know, I'm a huge bell hooks advocate, huge. So my book club right now in my love classroom, we're rereading A Will to Change, right? And in The Will to Change, the first sentence in the first chapter on the first page says, every female wants male love, right? But that's the thing. We as men deeply associate love with femininity. We deeply associate it also with sexuality. So to then take that phrase and then replace female with male, a number of men immediately you would tell the depth of their homophobia, right? And
so,
that's the thing.
Say the sentence. Say the full sentence.
The full sentence that is on the first page of the first chapter of the book A Will to Change literally says, every female desires male love.
And you're
right?
saying replace that female with male.
Every male desires male love, right? And usually the love that they desire is from their father. They've just been hardened and separated and psychologically severed from their younger child self that is still probably crying for that same father.
Jesus, man. Listen, I don't know how many minutes in we are, but it's getting deep. It's getting real. It's getting real.
Let's go in the deep end. I said,
listen, look, we got to dive into it, right? Because we don't have these conversations as black men enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody wants to pretend like I'm so tough. I don't need love. I can just go out and tackle the world. I don't need to come back and do anything. I don't need anybody around me. Like, I'm good. I got it on my own. I'm getting it out the mud. I'm straight.
But wait, I got it on my own. I'm getting it out the mud. I'm individual. I'm dirty. I'm good, right? Are we not supposed to be the protectors and the providers of that structure? Are we not supposed to be the protectors and the providers of that resource in order to be able to, once again, meet our physiological needs, including being clean, including having an environment where you can thrive, right? So I asked this question a lot to the men, actually the men in the Safe Haven group and in a number of my other groups. I asked them, when did you learn that masculinity was dangerous? Or who did you learn it from?
I remember that, yeah.
And the first person that they usually say is their father, right? So even if your father is physically present, a lot of black fathers are emotionally absent.
Oh. Golly. Say that again, bro. Say it again.
Even though a number of black fathers are physically present, they are emotionally absent, right?
And what does that do? Yeah.
So emotional absence makes it difficult for you to connect with your child past the age of you feeling that they are children. Even if you can connect with them at all, right? So, for example, let's say that we look at it from the perspective of men in child rearing, right? A number of men say that they don't want to child rear because that's what the women does, that's what they're good at, like women are more nurturing. What I then say to these men, or what I ask them is, okay, if that's the case, do you feel as if though you do not have the capacity to nurture? right? Do you feel that you are lacking of that entity within yourself? If that's the case, brother, that's a lack of skill set that is linked to your inability to access vulnerability. Right?
Bruh. First of all, explain child rearing too, because there's some people that's not gonna understand what that
I got
means.
you. So raising babies.
Okay.
You feel me? Being active in that child's life. But being active in that child's life also includes being active in your own self. So a lot of people don't realize that raising an external baby requires you to re-raise your internal baby.
We're talking about that inner child. So what happens when a man that's dealing with father wounds has to raise his child?
They are able to beat their child bloody either physically or emotionally and not say anything because they were beaten bloody physically or emotionally and were told to stop talking or stop crying. So they're expecting the same thing from their children. And they believe that this makes them a better man because the largest tenet of malevolent masculinity and patriarchy is your ability to be beaten damn near to death and not say anything, or the ability to not be loud about yourself being killed in order to be a martyr.
I think we need to take a break. Nah, bro, listen. Oh my God, bro.
It get a little deep.
Yeah, I need to take some time to just.
It get a little deep.
I need to take some time to process that one before I even fire off my next question.
Think about it, my guy.
Jeez,
No. Think about it.
Jeez.
There are a number of black men who are more concerned with being immortalized than mortalizing themselves. There are a number of black men who are more concerned with being dehumanized than humanized. And when I say dehumanized, you believe that your masculinity is rooted in your ability to sustain literal torture and not say anything. That's dehumanizing. You are making yourself into an object of taking on this horrendous amount of negative energy and not dispelling it in any way, shape, or form. That is why it is toxic masculinity, because you are literally a conduit and a tank for all of the negative things that have been done to you, and you do not take the time to exercise those things.
I'm glad that you said toxic masculinity, right? Because I know there's a number of people that don't like that term. And I've seen some conversations around like masculinity can't be toxic because when you need men to build houses, y'all looking for those men to be masculine.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. I despise that example because that example. So the rebuttal that I give is usually this: if we think about masculinity as an energy, we are the vessels to that energy, right? So if we're thinking about let's use an example, a parallel example of spaceships. When we talk about hyperspeed, hyperspeed is a speed that is usually larger or quicker than that vessel is created to sustain. That's the reason why it's called hyperspeed. Now, if we think about these spaceships in these TV shows a lot, they don't go for hyperspeed for the entirety of that TV show. They go for hyperspeed for a particular distance in time in order for them to get to a destination. And they usually use it in order to evade something or to engage in another type of jump that'll get them closer to their destination. A lot of men believe that hypermasculinity is masculinity how it is supposed to be, when the reality of the situation is every single time you give an example of what hypermasculinity is, you realize that you are using a hyperbolic example. Build a house, save somebody from a burning building, go, prevent a robbery. But let's take it a step further. Most of the men who do these things are men in uniform, right? They're firefighters, they're police officers, they're army soldiers, right? Are these not the same men who have the highest rates of depression, suicidality, and substance abuse? And why is that? Because they constantly have to go into environments where they risk life and limb, and the people around them are telling them that that's what they're supposed to do. Is it really? Or was that just necessary for? Was that just a skill set necessary in order to solve that particular problem at that point in time? So if you as a man are always primed to respond to something like that, your body's not designed to do that. So the rebuttal to that question, or the rebuttal to that phrasing is your brain and your body designed to be in a burning building at all times? If the answer is no, then you are still utilizing a hyperbolic example in order to supplement or to justify hypermasculinity. If both of those things are hyper, it is still a hyper situation. How is your masculinity when the building's not on fire? Do you believe that your mind is always on fire, brother? Because if that's the case, that's an internal conflict, and you need to figure that out somewhere else.
All right, I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you guys know to leave a review on the podcast. Please, 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 if you are listening to this episode and you're finding value in this episode, you're enjoying the conversation, or you've enjoyed a previous episode or conversation, and it's safe to operate your phone right now, please leave us a review. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected Black community, starting with Black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute out of your day to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand the platform even further. So please take a few seconds out of your day. I know you're busy. I understand. I know you're doing a lot, but it will help us greatly if you would just take a few seconds out of your day to leave a review right now. Did you leave a review yet? All right, let's get back to the episode.
We need some time. We need to listen. I'm not gonna rush this conversation. I'm gonna take all the time I need to process everything that you say, because, bro, you're dropping a lot of gems. That was so well said. At first, I was like, where the hell is he going with this damn spaceship? Mm-hmm. But it made perfect sense, right? Like, you're not supposed to be in hyperspeed or hypermasculinity all the time.
No.
Like, there's situations in which you need to be in it. Don't get me wrong. Right. And that's a tool. We need to learn how to use these tools, right? Like, somebody said something, and I thought it made perfect sense. They said, when you got a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yes. Or when you got a gun, everything looks like a target.
You know what I'm saying? Like, true, right? And that's how we are as men, right? Like, a lot of times what it'll be is, because we don't have tools and we don't know how to respond to situations, we just same response every single time. I'm going to beat it up, or I'm going to struggle through it and not say anything.
And that's what makes it toxic.
Right. Exactly, right? And that's what we're trying to get into the conversation of, because I've struggled with the thought process that there isn't a such thing as toxic masculinity, right? I started to use hypermasculinity instead, just to make people a little bit more comfortable. But at the end of the day, hyper, toxic, we know what we're saying.
Right.
What we're essentially saying is, you cannot always operate in the masculine. There has to be some type of balance, right? Like, if you're always operating in something, that means that you're imbalanced.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we see that? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because we exist in a culture that, how can I explain this? We exist in a culture that rewards masculinity that exists that way. So I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
When we talk about toxic masculinity, the definition of the word toxic is a substance that affects a substance that affects the afflicted past the point of contact.
Okay.
Right? That's what toxicity is. And toxicity usually is from outside coming in. So when we talk about toxic and poisons, it's usually a function of this toxin or this poison being ingested or injected into your body. Right? So when we talk about it that way, the way that it is that we've learned how to utilize masculinity has been in such a way to demean, dehumanize, and quite literally, like, dissect, to move away from. Right? When we look at it this way, that's what makes it toxic. The toxicness is not necessarily masculinity inherently, which I think a lot of brothers hear. It's the way that it is that you wield and apply it in situations that are not necessary for it to be wielded and applied that way.
I love that breakdown, bro. I love that breakdown. I think that makes perfect sense. Right?
Oh, like, and the toxic part, I forgot.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing that makes it toxic is that it affects everybody around you, including yourself.
Explain that.
So, as a man, if you believe that it is not your job to raise your children, the emotional labor load and the physical labor load goes up on your wife, and your child believes that somehow they've done something wrong simply because you do not believe that it is appropriate or masculine to extend that loving and physical care to your child when that child needs it. You allow that child to cry, right? When a baby cries, it it alerts the brain in a particular type of way that places it in the flight or flight space, right? The mother will respond to it, but because the father's fight or flight space probably has been burnt out by emotional trauma, there's nothing there. It's called normalized male alexithymia. And basically what that means is that it is a socialized push for men to remove their emotions from themselves. And it happens so often and so deeply that by the time we become fathers, husbands, we don't know what our emotions are. We usually just feel physiological responses from it.
Like I said, bro, I'm gonna take my time with this conversation, bro. Because, bro,
Yeah, toxic masculinity. That's the reason why we die earlier. It's literally toxic. You don't want to go to the doctor. You don't want to talk about how it is you're stressed out. You don't want to take care of yourself. Men die from suicide, homicide, heart disease. All three of these things have to do with emotional regulation. Implosion, explosion, lack of care for self.
Didn't I just tell you I'm gonna take my time? And you hit me with some more. He said, you know what? I'm gonna just hit him. I'm gonna hit him with some more. I don't care if he taking his time. I don't give a damn if he taking his time to process this conversation. I got some more bars that I gotta hit him off. But listen, oh my Lord, no, don't chill. Do not chill at all, bro. I love it, bro. I love it because we don't have these conversations enough, man. Mm-hmm. We really don't. Like what I was just thinking about. I was having a conversation with somebody. He's a prostate cancer survivor.
Yeah.
Or it was a different cancer, but my dad has had prostate cancer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he was talking about how he told his brother to get checked. But you know, when it comes to prostate cancer, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of men are scared of that, right? Or very uncomfortable with that. You know what his brother told him? He said, nah, I'd rather not even know. You rather not know that you have prostate cancer than get checked? So you telling me you would rather have cancer than go to the doctor and get checked?
They're going to war, and if they go to war, and if they die in that war, it's an act of valor.
Bruh, I just, like, to me personally, I was like, all right, bro, that's where I draw the line, bro. Like, I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like, since my dad has had it, it's like, yo, I got to stay up on my checks. I got to make sure. Because what I'm not going to do is turn 45, 50, 55, have a bunch of people that's around me that have a family, people that I love, that I care for. And now I'm stage 3, stage 4 prostate cancer because I decided not to get my checks.
Would you not call that toxic?
I would. You know what I'm saying? And then that goes into the fact, that goes back to your point, what you're saying, like, it doesn't just affect you. You know what I'm saying? It affects everybody around you, right? Anybody that has a relationship with you, right? Anybody that relies on you in any way, shape, or form, right? Because you not taking care of yourself affects your entire family.
Yeah, everybody want to be Mufasa, but don't nobody want to be responsible for everything that the light touches.
Bruh. You're dropping a lot of y'all. I don't know if you have some notes that you read.
These be freestyle gang.
Nah, listen, I love it. I absolutely love it, bro, because you are dropping some gems right now, man. I really hope that they're listening, bro.
Hopefully.
And you know, nah, they are. And one of the things that I like that we do on this platform is that we're not going to just beat into, man, hey, this is what's toxic, and you need to stop doing this, and da-da-da-da, blah, blah. Like, that's all good, right? Like, creating awareness, creating the conversation, but also being solution-oriented. That's why we're doing the webinar. That's why I'm trying to get men to make sure that they sign up for Safe Haven so that they can work with brothers like you that are well-equipped to help them through everything that they're going through, right? You're one of the men that are in our Safe Haven program that work directly with the Safe Haven members, right, for $75 a session, right? But then on top of that, right, like, we want to have these conversations and facilitate these conversations so that we can be able to help people think through solutions, right? So in that light, right, I wanted to ask you, how can we as black men start to work on our father wounds? Like, what are some things that we can do? What's something that an average black man can do right now to be able to give him some tools to work on it?
the biggest step for a number of men is admitting that they were even harmed by the absence of, the departure of, or the behaviors of their father. Because there are a number of men who not necessarily idolize their fathers, but idolize masculinity so much that they will not identify how it is that criticizing their father is similar to criticizing themselves, right? So in other words, you have to do a thorough self-evaluation of where you are not happy and understand how your lack of honesty or your lack of vulnerability with yourself has contributed to that unhappiness. Right. So in other words, what are you avoiding because it's too painful to go through?
Ooh, that's a tough. You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? It's not a tough answer, but it's hard to accept, right? Because a lot of men have the answer to that question.
They just don't want to accept it.
They just don't want to accept it, right? That's why whenever I talk about safe haven, I always say, we're going to connect you with a therapist so you can heal from the things you find it difficult to talk about, right? Because I want men to connect that, right? Like, I don't want you to just say, oh, I'm going to get in therapy, right? Or coaching, whatever, right? And I'm going to start talking and I'm going to be good. Like, no, bro. Like, that's not how this works, bro.
No.
Don't even sign up for Safe Haven if you don't at least don't sign up for that membership of Safe Haven where you're gonna work with a coach if you're not ready to start talking about those things.
If you are coming to me specifically, my first task is to get you to self-evaluate past your point of comfort. And I'm going to not push, but I'm going to nudge you until I see that you're getting uncomfortable, and then we're going to stop.
Okay.
Right? Because what that leaves you with is a sense of, why did I get that uncomfortable? Like, I'm quite adept at pushing people's buttons. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing right now, so I try to use it for good instead of evil, right? But the key in that is self-evaluation, right? But also the second key, so there's the first key is self-evaluation, but the second key, and this is the one that a number of men do not do well, is self-acceptance. Right? Because in a very, 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 very deep way, a number of us as men are ashamed of ourselves because we do not or have not actualized the men that we want to be based upon our own fears and our own negative internal narratives. So if you're not ready to fight the you that's the most negative version of you, don't come to me. Because the reality of the situation is, a lot of men is out here getting their ass whooped by their most negative selves, but they won't say anything because they will have to admit that they getting their ass whooped. You got to admit that life beating your ass first.
That's you know why that's such a hard thing to admit? Because of how we've been socialized.
Yeah.
Right? We can't, as a man, not be good. Right? So when we start realizing, damn, I might not be good. It's like, oh, hell no, you can't not be good. That's why the first thing a man says when you say, yo, how you doing? I'm good.
I'm good. I'm straight. Are you?
Are you really?
Are you really?
We don't even think about the answer. No, I'm good, bro. I had a conversation with somebody. Love the brother. You know, we did a podcast episode. Right before he came into the podcast episode, I could tell just off his energy, something was off. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, yo, like you good? What's up? And he was like, man, you know, we lost our grandfather today. Lost my grandfather today. I was like, damn, you know, I'm like, that's tough, bro. I'm like, you know, like if you want to talk about it on the pod, we can talk about it. If not, like it's all good. Like I don't want to push you, whatever the case may be, right? We get into the podcast, we start talking, and I'm like, yo, bro, what's up? Like, I normally ask like how the guest is doing. I said, yo, how you doing? First thing he said, I'm good. I'm like, nigga, no, you not good. You know what I'm saying?
But in front of company, nigga.
Like, I'm like, yo, bro, like, but I get it though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understood that wholeheartedly. And what I love about that episode is right after that, I gave him the space to be able to talk about it.
Damn, Kizzle, real quick.
What's up?
I wanna interrupt you real fast.
Nah, go ahead, yeah.
Because something just dawned on me.
What's up?
Do you believe that a number of men will feel as if though they're imposters if they admit that they are not as good as they say that they are?
Yeah.
So in other words, because masculinity is so performance-based, if I cannot do this performance, does that not make me a man? That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I really don't believe that we look at just the statistics of our generation, right? Because once again, a lot of us come from the generation after like what happened during Snowfall, COINTELPRO, all of that, right? So there's a lot of PTSD there, but also there's a lot of removal. I really, honestly, truthfully, do not think we talk enough about how it is that we as men have been impacted by this, how can I say, the amount of men who are trying to teach us how to be men without having men in their lives themselves, right? So the coaches, the teachers, the XYZs, the A, B, and Cs, how many of these men had men in their lives themselves, fathers specifically? And how many of them have taken the time to resolve the trauma that they experienced from their fathers without passing it on to the young boys in their community? So in other words, do you honestly believe that the men in our community have healed enough to not say to you, nah, just get up, because that's what somebody else told them to do?
No, we haven't. That's why the default answer to a lot of stuff is, bro, be a man. Man up. You good, get over it. Like, stop being a bitch. Stop being pussy. You know what men mean when they say that?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, bro, why are you even talking about this? Why are you even talking about your struggles, bro? Like, why internalize it? Like I am. What's wrong with you? You're not internalizing?
Yeah.
Until you explode? Why are you not doing that? We all do that.
Right.
Like, why are you not part of the brotherhood? You know what I'm saying? And then this is where now we getting into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did a podcast episode where we're talking about masculinity deeply. And what I always say about masculinity is, just like we have a black card, we have a masculinity card.
There we go.
As men, we got two cards, right? And our masculinity card, believe it or not, is way more important to us than our black card.
Yep.
We don't give a fuck about the black card. If we lose the masculinity card, bro,
We're done.
for us, our life is over.
But you know what's crazy, my boy?
It's over.
You know what's crazy, my boy?
What's up?
What color is that masculinity card? Because it ain't black.
The shit is white.
There we go.
It's white. And the reason why it's white is because a lot of these things that we're taught about masculinity was actually passed down from white men, patriarchy, things that aren't even part of our culture.
They come directly from a lot of them come directly from 19th century Victorian Europe. I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
The largest amount of gender role ideologies that we engage in right now, most of them come from 19th century Victorian Europe.
Bro, you know what's so interesting? I went back to I'll be in your comments every so often, right? I saw your comments.
My comments be hilarious, Jay.
Yeah, you know, they always
People be losing their mind.
They always try to come at you, bro. They always try to come at you, bro. But
They be like, oh, I'm big man, alpha male energy.
yeah, like
shut your dumb ass
I don't
up,
know
man.
any. I'll tell you something right now. I don't know many alpha males that are in the comments arguing with other men and women.
Nope.
So if you think you are alpha and you in the comments arguing and debating your status and your standards and your morals and your values with other people, sorry, brother.
You ain't it. Ain't it.
I'm sorry, brother.
You ain't one of them.
You ain't him.
You ain't one of them. You ain't him.
You are not him,
If
bro.
you gotta holler out, I'm him, and ain't nobody else saying you him. You ain't him.
Listen, look here, and now here's what I'll say about that too, right? I'm all for affirming yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I have an affirmation, black man, you're him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I say I'm him every so often, right?
Yep.
I don't give a damn if anybody else says it, right? And this is my point. What I'm trying to say is, why do y'all care so much about what everybody else thinks about what your standards and your values are?
There we
that you
go.
have to argue with somebody. That to me says that you have some doubts, some insecurities. You have to bash the other person's argument. Like me personally, it used to get to me. I ain't gonna lie. When I see comments and people just don't get it and they're trying to argue with me about what my viewpoint is. Then I got to the point, I'm like, why does it matter what Tom 1987
They always got like
underscore
a whole bunch of
654
numbers behind their name,
Why?
man.
I don't even know this guy. He doesn't know me. Why does it matter what this person thinks? You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to sit here and argue with that person. It doesn't make sense for me to do that. So like that's like I personally don't understand. But let me get back to the point because we did a little segue, right?
Yeah,
I saw in your comments somebody you were talking about something and then you started talking about tribes in Africa and how they have queen mothers.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
Ashanti region.
Yes.
We have a queen mother.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us don't understand that a lot of our original culture, women were at the head.
Yeah, it was matrilineal.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Matrilineal, matriarchal, yes.
yes, women were at the head. And we come to the United States and it's like, we feel like it's supposed to be male dominated, male everything. Don't get me wrong, bro. I believe in being a leader, you know, head of the household, that type of thing. I get that. I understand that. But the way that I talk about it with Naima, who's my girl, we have these conversations. She says her mom told her there's no head without the neck.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
1,000.
and the neck is your partner. Right? And so when we talk about leadership and we talk about relationships and how these things work, you have to understand, bro. Like, until you understand the importance and the value of, if we're talking about hetero relationships, the importance and the value of women, you will never be an effective leader as a man in that romantic relationship, in my opinion, right? Because you're devaluing a clearly valuable member of the team.
1,000. 100%.
Like, that doesn't make sense. And for the brothers that watch sports, that get upset at certain coaches that don't know how to play players, right? You're doing the same thing in a relationship when you have somebody that's on your team and you won't allow them to operate in their role.
There we go. Or operate in their strength, not their role. You gotta be
Hold on now.
You gotta be real careful about that word, my man, because you know,
you want us to cook and clean?
No, not even you. The brothers, they'll be like, yeah, you're wrong. You heard that? No. Play to the strengths, my boy.
Hold on now.
Hold on now. Play to the strengths.
And
right?
let me add to that. Remember your thought, bro. Let me add to that because I want to drive this point home, right? I always talk about cooking and cleaning. I want Naima to cook and clean. I want my girl to cook and clean, all these different kind of things, bro. Most of the times when I, because Naima and I are doing long distance, most of the times when I visit her, I'm the one doing a lot of the cooking, right? Because she's working. She goes out to work, right? So she's not in the crib. How inconsiderate would I be if she's not in the crib, we don't have anything to eat, and I'm waiting for her to come back from work to cook?
Extremely.
How inconsiderate would I be?
Extremely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, get up off your ass.
And go cook something.
And go make a meal. You know how to cook. You know how to take care of yourself. And this is the thing too, right? A lot of men don't know how to take care of themselves. You haven't lived by yourself. You don't know what it's like to live by yourself. You don't know how to take care of yourself. And you're expecting someone to come in
and do it for you.
That's and then you get mad
when they do it.
When they don't do it, or they don't know how to do it, but you don't even know how to do it yourself.
How you gonna get mad at somebody for cooking something and feeding it to you when you don't even know what you want to eat?
Man. And listen, and when I say all this, I'm not trying to disrespect any man that's in this position. I just get animated because I understand how this is negatively impacting a lot of relationships, and we don't have these conversations enough. A lot of men don't even think they need to learn how to cook.
Which is crazy to me. Bro.
Which is wild
That's
to me.
wild to me.
I don't care if you're in a relationship where your partner is always cooking.
Bro,
I don't care. What happens if they get sick?
But I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. I'm gonna keep it a lean bean with you.
What's up?
What a lot of men don't know is that if you cook for a woman, bro, like if you really sit down, learn what she likes to eat, learn her flavor palette, learn all of that, and cook for her, boy, what? You don't gotta ask that woman for nothing else.
Oh yeah.
Nothing.
Of course
right?
not.
I cook for my partner on a regular basis. Baby, I'm hungry. Okay, what you want to eat? Right? Reason being is because so I'm gonna say it to you like this. You want this woman to do all of these things for you, right? You realize that requires energy. It requires time. It requires resource. If you are not providing money, if you are not providing emotional stability, could you at the very least not just provide calories? The caloric surplus that is necessary in order for her to do all of the things that you are asking her to do.
When you break it down like that, it's like, damn, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta, man. I love that because that's the same thing I do with Naima. Like, I know Naima's favorite meal that I make personally, right? Salmon, mashed potatoes, veggies.
Yeah.
You know
My
what I'm
partner
saying?
loves salmon croquets.
You know exactly. You know what I'm saying? Chill. And salmon is like that's an hour 30 type
Not
meal.
even, bro. That's if you making it well done. If you
Ex-
trying to, bro, if you just trying to sear it and try to and have in the middle just like
Yeah.
just enough, it's only like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
for
but
real.
yeah, you know, for me, but the reason why I say hour 30 is because of prep time, all that other
Yeah,
extra
prep
stuff. You
time.
know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
But
yeah,
cooking, the actual cooking of it, 15, 20 minutes.
Don't take long at
I
all.
bake it. You know what I'm saying? So like when you actually like really spend that time, like here's what I'll say, right? Because I have a friend that's in a relationship right now where he does cook, and we was just having a conversation. I was like, listen, bro, like, look, you know, you talk to your man, you trying to tell him like, hey, brother,
hey, listen to me, listen.
this may not be the one, brother. Listen, I love you to death, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do, bro, but hey now, bro, my man cooked. He cooked pineapple fried rice. Yeah, it gets crazy.
I'm listening.
Pineapple fried rice with chicken. He had a sliced pineapple, carved out the inside of the pineapple, used that pineapple that he carved out to cook the rice, put the rice back in the pineapple and served it to her. He showed me a video of it. So it's not cap.
Fantastic.
Show me a video of it. They got into an argument, a whole issue, not because of that, but just like they had a other disagreement. And I was just like, yo, bro, listen. I ain't like the way, you know, I don't know about the conversation and how things went. You know, all these different things was happening. And I was like, yeah, bro, I don't know, bro. I try to give him the little, you know, let's try to nudge him in the right direction. Like, bro, listen, I used to go through a situation and that relationship didn't end up working out. So you take what you need to from that.
Yeah, I be trying to tell brothers, man, like stop engaging with women who are dehumanizing to you simply because they got good pussy.
Ooh.
Like you would allow somebody to pay you to dehumanize you, and you would allow somebody to fuck you out of your humanity. That's crazy to me.
Oh my God.
It's a whole different meaning to the word soul snatcher, boy.
Dang. That's crazy. But you know what another thing is too that I realized for myself? A lot of men aren't comfortable being alone.
No. Because they got to be alone with their own thoughts.
They got to be alone with their own thoughts, and also they don't know how to take care of themselves.
Nope.
My whole life I've been taught that I don't need to take care of myself. A lot of men are, you know what's crazy?
We're conditioned to believe that there's going to be a woman to come in and quote unquote complete us. Like I can't stand
my
brother,
God, you just
brother.
read my mind.
I cannot stand the way that relationships are marketed in the United States because they are marketed so codependently. It annoys me. It annoys me. Like especially with women, because when women say, "Oh, I want a man to do X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C," okay. Let me ask you a very firm question, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for that reciprocation. But at some point, you are falling into the malevolent patriarchal role of being an infantilized woman. So do you really want to be infantilized? Do you really want to be disempowered like that? Do you really? Because the answer for a number of women is no. They do not.
Bro, we've went on an amazing segue into relationships. And I love it because we got to realize how these wounds impact how we see ourselves and also how we interact with other people, right? And I think initially what got us into this conversation was talking about toxic masculinity and how engaging in like hyper masculinity all the time impacts the people around you, right? Like the relationships that you have. And like I said, always solution oriented. So I want to get men to have some tools, right? What are some things that they can do if a man has identified with some of these things? It's like, yo, I don't know how to take care of myself. I may be too hyper masculine at times. Like, what are some things that he can do to help?
So I'm a fan of, like, how can I say it, ripping off the Band-Aid.
Okay.
So whatever it is that you believe to be soft, immediately start trying to do that.
Okay.
Very simple. Just like you said, a number of men already have the answer. They just don't want to accept it. Learn to accept the answers that you don't want to accept. Right? Anything that your homeboys clown you for, start doing it. Find some other homeboys. Right?
I love that.
Understand what it is deeply. Understand what it means to take care of yourself. Get reacquainted with your body. Right? And what I mean by that is, brother, if you are constantly on go mode, you don't know how your internal world feels when you stop. If you are constantly hustling, You do not know what it feels like when you stop, right? So a number of men call themselves sharks. Do you know that sharks have to consistently swim, otherwise they will die? They have to constantly swim, right? Because because the shark is the apex predator, it has no evolutionary methods to attract prey to it. So it's not like a sea anemone that has multiple arms that wave in the ocean that attract particular types of critters to it. No, a shark literally got to go get everything out the mud, and if you don't, you're gonna die. That's a terrifying space to be in, but also sharks have the smallest brains of aquatic beings. One of the smallest brains. It's literally a being that operates solely on impulse. I need you to check every single one of your impulses and identify where they come from. So when you want to smoke, why? When you want to fuck, why? When you want to pop a pill, why? When you want to drink, why? What are you attempting to numb? What are you attempting to run from? Approach it softly and gently instead of trying to beat it out of yourself.
What would approaching it softly and gently look like? Because I think a lot of men don't even know what that looks like. We're so accustomed to, man, you messing up. You want to drink right now? You know that's a vice. You want to smoke? You know that's a vice. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, they don't know how to really, like, be soft and gentle. So what are some things that they can do when they are identifying things that they need to work through and it's hard for them to be soft with themselves?
So the illustration that I usually give, the episode of Naruto Shippuden when Naruto went to the village of the Hidden Cloud and he learned how to manage Kurama with Killer Bee.
I think you did that in Safe Haven too. That was fire.
It's one of my most circulated clips. So
that was fire. I
genuinely, every single anime protagonist has a version of himself that he has to fight in order to get to the next level. They did it in Naruto, they did it in Bleach, they did it in Shaman King, they did it in Dragon Ball Z. Like, it's a consistent theme of the anime protagonist to do a self-examination or to go into some type of cocoon or some type of deep they did it in Avatar: The Last Airbender as well, go into some type of deep self-exploration journey in order to elicit a higher order or higher divinity version of themselves. So the scene in Naruto that was specific and very just like poignant for me is that when Naruto realized that he could not physically beat this man's ass, he showed him everything that he had grown into to that point. He had showed him how it is that he was going to be Hokage. This is my intent. This is what it is that I'm going to do. It has been written, right? Because it showed above Naruto's head the signature, the autograph of him being the Hokage. The other Naruto got so upset. He was like, what are you going to do with me? What about me? It's abandonment, right? You just going to discard me just like everybody else did. So when the shadow Naruto went to like steal on him again, Naruto just hugged him. He was like, no, thank you for what it is that you've done to me or for me to get me to this point. The anger that I had is valid. It is there. But I cannot have you exist in this form anymore. We have to be collaborative, right? So that was the last part of the demon fox that had to be dispelled in order for Naruto and Kurama to become Naruto and Kurama. Because after that, Naruto was able to cloak himself in Kurama and it gets deeper. So when Naruto went inside himself to learn about Kurama, Kurama said, you are the only vessel who has ever cared enough about me to learn my name. Most men do not care about themselves enough to understand their own power and to understand their own divinity. So they don't seek their own name. They don't seek their own intent, because they would have to go through that very large and angry masculine self that they know is going to continue to beat on them. They have to face that internal bully that is usually either their father or the other men around them.
So essentially,
you gotta hug yourself, dog. You gotta love on yourself, dog. When that very loud voice comes up, hey, I hear you, but you gotta chill right now. Like, I appreciate it. You have helped me get to this point. You have helped me develop this discipline, this hustle. But my boy, you real loud right now, and I don't like the way that you're talking to me. Because most times our internal narrative is disrespectful, but that's the only man that we don't check.
Yo, say that again, bro.
I said our internal narrative is usually wild, disrespectful, but that's the only man that we don't check. We literally do not check ourselves.
Yo. You know what's so wild that I tell my girl all the time? I say, stop saying things to yourself that you wouldn't like for other people to say to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we sit around and we bully ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Like, we bully ourselves. If
Yes,
you
sir.
ever catch yourself saying something that you wouldn't like somebody else saying to you,
Check
you
yourself.
are bullying yourself. And you need to check yourself. Like, you really have to check yourself. And a lot of us as men, we have that hard, very mean internal voice. That was one of the main reasons why I stayed in depression for as long as I was.
Yes, sir.
Because as soon as I start thinking about the mistakes that I made, the first thing that comes up is, you a fuck up. Stupid ass nigga. Why the fuck you made that mistake?
Right.
This is how I was talking to myself. So when you're talking to yourself like that and you're already going through emotional distress, what you think is going to happen? You're going to be depressed because you don't give yourself enough grace. You don't affirm, you don't validate yourself. That's why it's so important. That's why I put the affirmations up as much as I can. Because men need to see that. They need to read that. At first, I would just do one sentence for the affirmation. I'd just say, black man, speak more calmly to yourself. Let's just say that's the affirmation. I'll just do one sentence. And they
No,
will like
you started doing multiples.
No. And the reason why is because they will read it multiple times. And they need to read it multiple times for them to really get it.
I'm finna fuck you up real quick. You know where you probably got that from?
Where?
You know when we used to write lines in elementary school in order to get something in our minds? Yeah.
I love
black
that.
Man, you are black man. Because when I'm looking at it, I was like, damn, this shit remind me of when I had to write the word discombobulated in 4th grade. Shout out Dr. Tiffany Farrow. But yeah, she was like, Mr. Anquay, you are discombobulated. DISCOMBOBULATED. I know how to spell that. That's my favorite 14-letter word. I know how to spell it to this day. And it means to be in a state of disarray or in a state of disorganization.
Right?
And
you learned it, right?
Learned it.
Because you had to repeatedly say it, write it, right? And so that's why I make sure I repeatedly write the affirmation out. Because men will read it multiple times and it will start to get ingrained. And to drive this all home is like, yo, healing is going to be so much more difficult, so much harder when your internal voice, the internal narrative that you have around yourself is negative.
Yep.
And you said, yo, that I think is such a bar. We check everybody. I ain't gonna let this nigga disrespect me. I'm gonna fuck him up. But you getting fucked up by yourself.
Yep.
And you won't even say a word.
Nope.
You won't say a word.
Nothing.
You won't advocate for yourself.
Nope.
But any other situation, you ready to beat people up. You ready to cause harm to anybody that's ready to disrespect you. But you sit here and you disrespect yourself almost every day. And you don't say anything to yourself. I think that is, yo.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's literally what that means.
Yo, bro. Man, I think that's so profound, bro. Like, for real. Like, that's something that I'm really going to take away from this. Because we do that. We do that too often. We ready. Yo, the conversations that I've had with men, bro, when it comes to disrespect, bro, we are ready, bro.
Ready.
Like, some men ready to die off disrespect.
But it's because it hurts that bad. It's because it hurts that bad. Because if you disrespect a man in the same way that he disrespects himself, you're going to get a more violent reaction.
Why is that?
Because it's a trauma response. It's a trauma response. You have created a negative sympathetic vibration that creates a feedback loop that feeds into the internal narrative that I am not valuable. So like Tupac said, I already know I ain't shit, but when I decide that you ain't shit, right? So if I come to you and I remind you that you ain't shit, you're either going to implode or you're going to explode.
And you know what I'm connecting that back to, bro? I see a lot of conversation with men where they say, I don't open up because when last time I opened up, it was used against me.
Yeah, they're scared. That's what the word vulnerable means. The word vulnerable means to open oneself up. And I had two of my clients look this up last week actually. The word vulnerable means to open oneself up to the potential of harm or violence. That is literally what vulnerability means, right? So it's not just about opening yourself up. It's opening yourself up in a way where you have to trust that person to not harm you. That is what builds trust, right? But you building the trust in yourself is verbalizing when it is that you've been harmed and allowing people to show you whether or not they have the capacity to not harm you. Mm-hmm. This is the reason why I tell black men all the time, you have to empathize with yourself and evaluate yourself first before you start talking about what these black women are not doing. But if you are a man who already does that self-evaluation, or you are a man who already works on that emotional intelligence, you are doing yourself a disservice if you decide to stay with a black woman or any woman who has internalized patriarchy so much so that they cannot humanize you as far as you have humanized yourself. That is a disservice. Leave her.
Facts. Leave her. 2023. You know what I'm saying? That's the campaign.
Hashtag leaving emotionally unintelligent women.
Hashtag leave these women that don't want you to be anything more than just protect and provide and make sure I'm good in 2023. We ain't doing that no more. If I can't be a human around you, I don't want to be around you.
Shorty. On shorty.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, dusted, baby.
Bro, but the part of the problem is a lot of men don't know what it means to be human.
They don't.
So we get into these relationships, and when she's treating you just as a man, right? Because there's more to being a man than just being a man. There's more to being human than just being a man. Mm-hmm. When she's treating you as just the last three letters, you think that's normal. When y'all arguing, she's slamming the door in your face, and you arguing, you mad, and she's leaving out the crib, and
that's because men have told themselves that women are the more emotional creatures. Therefore, they'll sit and be emotionally abused by women who they perceive to be hysterical.
That's just her nature.
That's just her nature.
No,
that's just her nature yourself into an emotionally abusive relationship. How do I know? Because it happened to me.
It happened to me too, brother.
Hey. That's just her nature. That's a bunch of bullshit. If you as a woman do not know how to manage your emotional responses to you not getting your needs met, you are emotionally abusive. If you utilize the knowledge that men respond to women's fawning emotions in order to get what you want from men, you are emotionally manipulative. If a man comes to you and attempts to express to you how it is that he feels outside of when you all having a conflict, because a lot of women, they get real holed up about that. Okay. If a man comes to you and expresses to you something that's bothering him, and it already took him a whole bunch of time to do that, and you lose your shit or you do emotional gymnastics in order to get back to how it is that you feel about this man bringing something to you, that's emotional manipulation. I don't want to hear nothing about it. You can cut it, slice it however it is you want to dice it. Baby, you're being emotionally manipulative. And you're being emotionally manipulative because society has socialized you to do that in order to extract the non-emotion from men. That's the reason why Bell Hooks said there are a number of women who don't actually want to be in the same equal space with men. There are just a number of women who are upset that they could not love, sex, cajole, or convince men to love them. And that comes from that father wound, bringing it all the way back. Because their mothers could not cajole, sex, or comfort that father into staying or being emotionally present. So what does that have to do with the father wound? You are the only person who can heal the father wound. You. Because we are the only people who have the materials and the tools to be fathers.
We gotta, like I said, brother. I started going fast with you, and we was going back and forth for a little while, right? I was doing my thing with you for a little while, but you know what I'm saying? You just hit, brother. Oh my God.
Yeah, gang.
Now I said this was gonna be a classic before we sat down, but geez, I ain't know it was gonna be. This is top 5.
I've been learning, G. Been learning because I've been doing my own work as it relates to my own father wound, gang. Because like, me and my father right now, and that's the reason why I know like I have to move more into spaces of compassion and like acceptance. Me and my father right now have not talked almost 4 years since my birthday.
Bro, you told me about that.
Yeah, and it was crazy
it's-
because go ahead.
Yeah, no, wild. It's wild because I remember when you first talked to me about it, it was like 3 months.
Yeah.
You was like, yeah, me and my pops haven't talked for like 3 months. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, they'll probably talk at some point. Now it's a year.
It'll be a year actually on my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, through that period of time, that has hurt me a lot. Like, it has been one of the most difficult things that I've had to process over time. Because I don't think I told you, like, one of my other best friends, her father died 2 weeks before that. Like, he dropped dead. Like, we were not expecting him to die at all.
Damn.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we you know what I'm saying, R.I.P. DJ Funky, yo, you feel me? Let's go. That's Pops for real. But nah, we were there at his funeral, and I'm just balling. I'm balling because I'm like, yo, what if me and my father never reconcile? All right, so I go and I talk to my mother. I said, Ma, how do you prepare for a parent to die? She says, William, you can't. Right? I did not know that spirit was going to lead me to have to grieve the father that I wanted in order to accept the father that I have. And Kizzle, that is a extremely difficult process, bro. Because as a 29-year-old man, when I say balling, bro, like I'm balling like a child on my mother's shoulder. I'm like, yo, why is he like this? My mother's like, William, you are the only person in this family who has not accepted your father for who he is, right? It translated into my relationships because I began feeling more, not necessarily fears of abandonment, but like I became more sensitive to feelings of invalidation, to feelings of minimization, to feelings of not being considered. I started telling people like, yo, if you are not going to humanize, validate, or identify me, you don't got too many times. Because the person who I had all of this space and grace for, now I've closed that door. So now by design, the rest of y'all doors have been slammed shut. You need to tread carefully. Because at this point in time, I'm in a space where if I'm going to be accepting this, that means that there are a number of things about me that are going to change, which means that my boundaries are going to be less porous. Because now I understand that a lot of the ways that I was behaving was based upon a codependency, or it was based upon me fearing that somebody was not going to see me as valuable, or me fearing that somebody was not going to validate me. Once again, why does it matter that, I'm going back and forth with this person? Because this person invalidated you, right? This person made me feel as if though what it is that I was saying was not real, or it made me feel as if though, your reality or your personhood is not valuable enough for me to say, you know what, I can feel that, right? But as a person, as a man, I cannot expect everybody to, once again, identify with who it is I am, or even verbalize or, validate who it is that I am. That's externalizing my self-concept. Mm-hmm. My responsibility is to bring that back to myself and say, okay, be very honest about how it is that this hurt you. Identify that you don't want this from anybody else, including your father. So what does that mean? That means that you have to accept that, one, this is who your father is. Two, you also have to accept the pain that it caused you. But also, three, you have to accept that it is not anybody else's responsibility but your own to soothe this pain, because you are the only person who knows how deep that pain is. Because if the person who caused you this pain was going to heal the pain, they would have healed it. If they had the tools to do it, they would have done it. I'm no longer expecting somebody who does not have the capacity or have the tools to do this. It would be great. It would be fantastic. The little boy in me is always going to want his father to come back, right? But at this point in time, the man in me has to reparent the little boy in me and say, hey, this man may not be the man that you are expecting him to be. He may not have the capacity, but you do. We do. So move forward in the knowledge that you are going to be okay. Move forward in the knowledge that there are going to be other men or other masculine figures who are going to be able to teach you some of these things that you feel that you don't know, right? But the reality of the situation is, this is what it means to be your own man. This is what it means to make your own decisions. This is what it means to be reborn, or to rebirth yourself into your manhood. It is taking the responsibility of cleaning up the mess, even though you are not the one who made it.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, you got me emotional, bro.
Yeah, G. It get real deep in the African communities too.
Yo, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful because my relationship with my pops is not like that, right? But I always feel for you when we have this conversation, because it's like, damn, bro. And I feel for every man because I know, bro. First of all, before I even get into the response, I want to salute you for just speaking on that so candidly, because it's important that we talk about this openly, right? And that people know that you're not just up here talking and giving wisdom and game, but you've actually gone through it and you're going through the process right now. So not only are you educated in it, but you're also experienced in it. That makes you like a two-headed monster when it comes to this, because you can speak to it from an education standpoint, but you can also connect to the feelings of it because you're going through it. Right. So I applaud you for talking about that, bro, because so many men, bro, I'm telling you, I know when I drop this episode, there's going to be a lot of men that relate to exactly what you just said. Like, they're going to hear everything you said before this, but they actually listen to the whole episode. I think that part right there will hit the most, because there's so many men that are going through the process where they have to do that radical acceptance of their father.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's the radical acceptance of, this man may not be who I have called him to be, or who I think he is, or who I would like him to be. And I have to accept him for who he is, so that I'm able to move into the man that I want to be. Not only for myself, but for the people around me. Bruh, wish we had more time.
Yeah. But I got to get back to Philly.
Yes, sir. Listen, please tell people what you have, how they can support you, how they can get connected with you outside of Safe Haven. Please.
Yeah. So once again, my name is Professor Odie. I have 2 virtual classrooms. My first virtual classroom is my Love classroom. Love stands for Life, Understanding, Value, and it is a classroom where it is that we focus on Black self-development, Black spirituality, and Black sensuality, all from an indigenous Afrocentric philosophy and perspective. And the reason why we do this is because a number of people, especially a number of Black people, are saying that the materials that are available to them as it relates to self-development, as it relates to spiritual development, as it relates to mental health development, are not Black enough, being very honest, right? They are not centered in our experience. So the Love classroom specifically centers all of those things, once again, Black development, Black spirituality, Black sexuality, in an indigenous African-centered philosophical context. And we do that in order for you to basically be your Blackest, healthiest self, right? So you can access the Love classroom on my Instagram. You can just send me a DM saying love in my AI bot to get right with you. The platform is hosted on Hotmart, so it is a course and also a live book club. So every week, Mondays we have classroom discussions, and Wednesdays we have book club discussions. So once again, that is the Love classroom. And the Love classroom, very much so in a short form context, is a space where you can become your biggest, Blackest, healthiest self in order for you to experience Blackness at its most deepest intentional levels. So that is what we do in the Love classroom. The Wealth classroom is a bit different. So the Wealth classroom teaches emotional regulation in order to increase your financial decision-making skills. And the Wealth classroom is a joint effort between myself, my brother Jace Banks at Bahama FX, top tier trader. We got a couple of other sponsors that are coming in to really make sure that the classroom is bolstered up. But in the classroom, it is an 8-week process where we take you literally from not knowing anything about financial psychology to at the end of the course, not only do you know what financial psychology is, you know how it impacts your purchasing decisions. You understand how it is that marketing impacts your brain, and how it is that they hijack your brain to make financial decisions. You learn how to combat that. You learn how to hack the habits around emotional regulation and how it relates to, purchasing decisions, all those types of things. So once again, if you want to find either one of these classrooms, you can come on to my Instagram, send me a message of either love, LUV in all capitals, or wealth, WLTH in all capitals. And like I said, my AI about to get right with you.
And how can they find you and connect with you?
So how can they find me? My platform is on Instagram and TikTok. Those are now Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. On everything, it's either Professor.Odie or Professor_Odie, but I'm almost certain that on everything is Professor.Odie except YouTube. YouTube is Professor_Odie. You can also find me on Spotify. The name of my podcast is called The Antidote. That's THA and the word antidote. So that's where you can find me, at Professor Odie, Professor.Odie or Professor_Odie.
I love that. And like I said, man, we got Odie
Yes, sir.
We
Yes, sir.
we are well tapped in Safe Haven, leading 2 groups a month. Also doing individual sessions so people can work with you on an individual level for the $75. Man, thank you so much for this episode, man. If you guys got any value from this episode, please leave a review. If you like to dive in and do any more healing work, we have that free webinar that's coming up. All you got to do is go to expressyourselfblackman.com/links and click the free webinar link for how to heal father wounds. And we're going to be tapping in, talking more about some of the things that we talked about during this episode and diving in a little bit deeper. Odie.
Bro, and if you see this episode, listen, if you see this episode, follow me. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you doing it, bro. Follow me on everything. The reason being is because season 2 of The Antidote is going to be focused on solutions. We're going to be talking about how it is to take care of your mental health, how it is to love more deeply, how it is to become more aware, not only just in your spiritual, but in your mental and your emotional, and how to grow your wealth, man. So once again, follow me because I'm telling y'all, season 2 is going to be a movie. I got some heavy hitters. It's going to be crazy, bro. So once again, follow me on everything, but more specifically, follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify because, hey, if y'all miss it, y'all going to miss it. But I'm telling y'all, I got bros putting out in like Lambos, Ferraris, and stuff like that for my reels and my shorts for my YouTube. So it's like, I'm telling y'all, I'm trying to get y'all into some money, into some mental health, into some draws, whatever you want to do. You feel me? But come follow me. All right, bet.
I love it, man. Follow Odie, sign up for the webinar. Thank y'all so much for listening. Leave a review. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We really hope you gained some valuable insight on things you could do differently with your healing journey and with the black man in your life. If you found value in this episode, please leave us a review on whatever platform you listen or watch the podcast on. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected black community, starting with black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand our platform even further. And speaking of expansion, we're in the middle of that process right now with the Black Man Safe Haven. We're expanding the Safe Haven platform to add more benefits so we can continue to support the demand we've received from this audience. During this time, we've paused enrollment to Safe Haven, but we invite you to sign up for the waitlist. Safe Haven is our holistic healing platform where we take the stress out of the healing journey for black men. In Safe Haven, we provide you or the black man you know with access to a black mental health professional so you can finally heal from the things you find it difficult to talk about, and you will receive support from over 200 black men that are all on their healing journey so you don't have to heal alone anymore. You'll also get access to weekly meditations led by wellness experts, support group sessions led by black therapists, a library of over 200 articles geared towards black men's healing, master classes, and more. You can join the Safe Haven waitlist right now by going to www.expressyourselfblackman.com/safe-haven-waitlist or by clicking the link in the description of this podcast episode. Don't wait. Do not wait. We've had hundreds of signups for Safe Haven already, and we'll be opening enrollment soon. Due to capacity, we may not be able to service everyone, so don't hesitate to sign up now to secure your spot or the spot of a black man you know as soon as enrollment opens. Thank you again for listening to the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We'll be back soon with more dope episodes, and until then, take care of yourself first, then the people around you. Love y'all.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for.